Hello everyone and welcome to this Miradore webinar. Today we will have a demonstration on how can EMM help you to achieve GDPR compliance. My name is Sonia Kinsley and I'm a marketing specialist at Miradore. Let's have a look on today's agenda. First, we have a pre-recorded demonstration on today's topic presented by Jeremy Allen. If you come up with any questions during the presentation, please type those into the question box of our webinar tool. After the demo, Jeremy is here also for a live Q&A session to answer these questions. Shortly about today's presenter. Jeremy joined Miradore in August 2016 and was appointed as EU Sales Director in November 2017. He is mainly responsible for the Australia and New Zealand regions. Jeremy holds a Bachelor in Business Administration and will soon finish a Master of Business Administration degree in International Business. Let's move on to the presentation. So, Jeremy, here you go.
Today's webinar is about GDPR compliance and how enterprise mobility management can help your companies to achieve GDPR compliance. So what I'll start with here is just a GDPR in a nutshell. Most of us are well aware as to what this regulation is, but it's always helpful to have a little reminder. So the General Data Protection Regulation comes into effect May 25th, 2018. It's designed to keep the personal data of the EU's 510 plus million residents safe, and it holds organizations accountable for any data breaches. In serious cases, notifies individuals of breaches of their personal information, and businesses who fail to comply can be fined up to 20 million euros or 4% of their annual global turnover. This also gives individuals the right to know what information of theirs is stored and allows them to request that this information be erased. Now, this may also require the appointment of a data protection officer within the organization. Here at Miradore, we have assigned a data protection officer. And just for those of you on the line to know, our data protection officer, Los Evento, is also here on this call. He is available to help answer any questions that might come up. And for maybe for more serious questions, we can also take those and respond back to the group via email as well if some of these require more in-depth answers. So moving on, how are mobile devices used in your organization? Undoubtedly, we're relying more and more heavily on the use of smartphones, tablets, laptops, and our workforce is becoming increasingly mobile. We're accessing data on the move and carrying devices 24 hours a day, including outside of the work setting. So this obviously offers lots of new opportunities for our businesses, but it presents a host of threats, many of which are specific to GDPR. So mobile device management or enterprise mobility management will be key factors in helping you achieve real-world compliance. I'll also run through a few key terms. Our industry is chock full of acronyms, and before you blink, the next acronym might have taken over from the last. So it's just a good idea to run through what some of these key acronyms are, what they mean, and how they all apply. So the first, maybe more common, MDM, mobile device management. It's the original term for the collection of device inventory information and basic management of mobile devices. So this is allowing administrators to enforce security actions and configure settings. EMM, Enterprise Mobility Management, builds upon MDM. And so in addition to the security features, EMM relates to the more complex control and automation of devices in a corporate setting. As companies grow, they tend to create policies as to how their devices are configured and also require more advanced functionalities as the management of applications and license, such as the management of applications and licenses. So EMM is really the key term right now in our industry, but our industry is also moving towards UEM, Unified Endpoint Management. So this will soon take over from MDM and EMM, we think. Unified Endpoint Management basically means being able to manage all of your devices from one central portal, including laptops and desktops, which have historically been managed separately. So moving on from those key terms, we'll also touch on a few device-specific terms. So BYOD, bring your own device. Many of you are probably quite familiar with this. This is a scenario where you bring your own device to work and set up the work-related functions like your email and applications there. Choose your own device, CYOD, where a company provides you a device of your own choosing. In this case, you might select an iPhone or the latest Android. The organization then has to figure out how to manage the diverse environment of devices in their fleet. And last one here, corporate owned, personally enabled, COPE. So in a COPE device, the organization hands out some predetermined model of device, which users can then set up as their own. Often these will be a specific platform, like Android, to make management easier. So, how does EMM help you to become GDPR compliant? Here are 8 ways for you to get started. Step number 1, lock screens and passcodes. This sounds simple because it really is. It's really the first line of defense when it comes to protecting the data contained in your devices, especially if lost or stolen. And the GDPR requires you to prove that you're in control of user data and that you've taken steps to protect it. Miradore's EMM allows you to lock an open device, easily enforce passcode requirements on your devices, and remotely check to ensure compliance. And in the screenshot there, you'll see a device that's in my own Miradore site without a passcode set. Also a notification for me to set that passcode now. Second point, about encryption. So unencrypted data is a huge liability to us. It's important to understand how encryption works on your devices. Starting with iOS devices. iOS devices have encryption built in, but that encryption is only enabled when there's a passcode set. Android devices may or may not come encrypted, so it's important to be able to audit and enforce those corporate devices. In that screenshot again, you'll see my Android device with encryption disabled. So as shown in the screenshot, use of an EMM product will enable you to enforce the use of encryption across your fleet. Third step, destroying unnecessary data. In the first example, in a corporate-owned, personally enabled device, there will be times when you'll need to wipe the device of all sensitive data. Doing so at the press of a button is key to preventing breaches of information. And examples of when you might be doing this are if you are recommissioning a device for a new user, an employee is leaving the organization, or the device has gone missing. This is a little different in a bring your own device scenario, however. So in this scenario, administrators can create a work profile in a device, which would be separated from the user's personal profile, as shown in the screenshot. Data in the work profile can be wiped without deleting the user's personal information stored on the device, leaving much happier personal device owners. So the fourth step here, controlling applications and data. We all have tens, if not hundreds, of applications on our devices, and we need to be able to take control of these. Some of the ways you can do this with EMM are to whitelist specific applications that you want to allow on devices, blacklist inappropriate applications or ones that are using excessive data, setting your devices into single app mode, also known as kiosk mode, or creating your own corporate application store, consisting only of applications that you approve of and hiding the rest. Step number 5, knowing your software versions. So we've seen quite a lot of different cyber attacks lately, and these are not just threats to your PCs. So old versions of applications from untrusted sources, for example, need to be updated with the latest security patches or restricted altogether. Having a place to view the operating system versions of your devices and push the latest app updates is an important step in protecting yourself. Knowing this information and also using it in conjunction with anti-malware tools is a great way to stay ahead of the threats. Step number 6, reporting and logging capabilities. As we touched on earlier, your companies may have appointed a data protection officer. As an important role within the GDPR, this person must keep a watchful eye on company policies and affairs and may have to prove what steps have been taken to improve data security and protect personal data. Using an EMM tool to produce an extensive list of reports, adding reassurance of compliance, and weeding out threats, such as applications that are potentially harmful, and also being able to monitor all of the devices from a central dashboard makes things much easier for that data protection officer. Step number 7, protecting yourself from theft. Keeping your devices in a fanny pack or a neck wallet would be one obvious first step, but we don't expect everybody to do that. And we also don't expect that that people are going to be safe from theft or lost devices. It's just a reality. But we've touched on the threat already, and we'll actually kind of repeat it here because it's very simple and very easily overlooked. With the small size and portability of mobile devices, they're really an easy target, and it's not often that a lost device will find its way back home. So if you lose a device and you're never going to see it again, at least if you can be sure that it's protected with a passcode, encrypted, and you're able to wipe that device, you're much safer than the alternative. And of course, it's so essential that Miradore offers these functions for free. So moving on to the 8th step, our last step, being able to remotely deploy and enforce settings. In the screenshot here, you see a list of different configuration profiles and the corresponding platforms that they're available on. So the ease of use, or the lack thereof, can be a real difference maker when it comes to whether or not policies and settings are actually enforced across your network. We feel that this shouldn't be a pain point, and we make it easier than ever to remotely deploy and enforce settings. A couple of examples from this list that are definitely relevant to GDPR are configuring approved Wi-Fi networks and distributing VPN profiles. In addition, you can save time and money by deploying company email configurations, monitoring data usage, and mitigating roaming charges, to name a few. So just recapping our list that we've gone through today. First step, enforce passcode requirements. We all know it's annoying to spend the extra 3 or 4 seconds getting into our devices, but there's just no excuse for it, and being able to enforce that across your organization is vital. Encrypting your data and knowing how the encryption works on the devices that you have in use in your organization. Being prepared to wipe sensitive information. Controlling the applications running on your devices. Knowing your software versions. Creating reports easily. And generally being ready to act if a device is lost or stolen. Lastly, as we just saw, deploying and enforcing settings.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy, for the presentation. Now it's time for the Q&A session. So, Jeremy, could you please reply me to this question? Where does Miradore store its data?
Yes, so Miradore stores its data in the security-focused Microsoft cloud servers in Germany.
Okay, thank you very much. And how can I keep my contacts safe?
Okay, so thinking about both platforms, Android and iOS, on an Android device, definitely keeping your contacts in a work container would be one way to make sure that that applications that gather contact information don't have access to them. Of course, the other thing to do is to restrict applications that do such a thing. There are some social applications that are doing this and pulling your contact data, and that would be a breach of GDPR. And then also for iOS devices, happy to announce that there will soon be a secure email and contacts container available through Miradore for iOS devices as well.
Okay, that was very clear. Thank you. Also, if you would like to discuss further, ask questions, or give suggestions, you can also contact us on our website. Yes. So thank you everyone for participating. Feel free to share our webinar on social media, and we look forward to meeting you next time. Bye-bye.